right, so everybody sees the presentation. Perfect. Welcome to CS 487, Introduction to Competitive Programming. And I'm Emre. I came from Silicon Valley, but I'm originally Turkish. So we will have plenty of time to talk about my background, why I'm here, and how I can be helpful to you. Right now I will directly go into what we want to achieve in the next 4.5 months and where we want to get in the end. So first we will start with the team. Not everybody is here, but we picked 5 second-year students, 7 third-year students, and 15 fourth-year students. The reason we made this is we want to give you opportunity to get summer internships at Silicon Valley companies, top Silicon Valley companies like Google, Facebook, Microsoft, Amazon. And second-year students, you have 3 internship opportunities ahead. Third-year students, 2, and fourth-year students, you have 1. So the reason summer internship opportunity is very important is because it's like a smooth change for full-time position. Like in full-time interviews, they invite you on site if you pass the phone screen for full day. So you have 5 sessions, and in these sessions, like they ask you coding questions, they ask you system design questions, some part of it also behavioral, and it's harder to pass that bar than internship interviews. Because in the internship interviews, all you have to do is to pass the phone screen. So usually for people like you which have very high potential but don't have very good labels, the hardest part is getting the internship interview. So if you just send your CV to Google, like they get over 1 million CV every year. So it's very hard to pass the pre-selection and then get the interview opportunity. And with the help of this program, what we are going to do is basically we are going to connect you with people who are working there actively, and they are going to be reference to you. And then you will get the interview so you can perform there and prove your worth. Yes, as I mentioned, our objective is to get the summer internship at the end of this program. And by the end of February, students who perform well, we will connect them with the companies and we will be a reference to them and they will have the interview opportunity. So why do you think I put this slide, like this guy on the stage? Can someone make any connection to our situation? Just give it a try. I mean, there is no right or wrong answer. No guesses?
I guess with your recommendation, you could you could stop being anonymous and get the attention.
Exactly. So basically, you are going to be on the stage. Like the things that work with Silicon Valley companies is that they don't care about your background, they don't care about your race, your gender, your religion, whatever. They don't care about any biases. What they care is really your performance. And with the help of this program and our connections, you will be on the stage. So during the program, we will practice how to perform well on the stage and basically succeed in those interviews. However, at the end of the day, the thing that is gonna determine whether you are gonna be accepted for the program or not is your performance on the stage. But for many people, even getting on the stage is hard, and for you, this is gonna be provided. So what I want from you is get prepared well and perform well on the stage. So the materials we are going to cover, it is available online, and we will be using MIT's material, Stanford's material. There is a document that we prepared for best practices for interview preparation, because it's not just about getting the right solution. It is also about how you present it, how you test it, and whether like you touch to the points that the interviewer is looking for or not. And we will also use the top coder tutorials, which explains these advanced algorithms and data structures in a nice way, because they are written by people who compete in online competitions. So since you guys are from different years, it was very hard to find an available slot for everybody. So that's why we had to choose time block that is after school. So we will be starting our sessions at 4:30, and we will also have lab sessions, which is gonna end around 7:30 to 8. And the daytime lectures, it's like 20% of the program. So it's on me. I need to prepare the slides. I need to understand the topic very well and explain it in an enjoyable way to you. And on you, you need to listen in a focused way and ask questions anytime you don't understand. I mean, you guys are, when you come to this university, you selected nationwide. And then when you choose software engineering, you get selected among all the students after the first year, right? And after that, like many people made applications. So we had over 200 applications. So you are the cream of the cream of the cream of these people. So if you don't understand something, it's probably I didn't explain it in a good way, okay? So have the confidence. Whenever you don't understand something, just raise your hand and ask, okay? Like we shouldn't leave any kind of darkness in your understanding. Like that's the only way that you can completely understand something. So whenever you don't understand something, just raise your hand and ask. So we will have lectures during the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday sessions. Because Fridays, like this one, so this is an exception since we have the first lecture now. That's why we have this lecture part. But moving forward, on Fridays, we will only have the lab session. So there is not going to be any lecture for Fridays. But all the other weekdays, we will have lectures. And in the lecture, I prefer to have 2 breaks because for some people, our attention span is not that long. You know, if we keep continuing for 50 minutes, for an hour, it's going to be too much. So that's why like we will have 20-minute sessions and then 5 minutes breaks. And in the end, we are going to have 10 minutes of recap because it's important to repeat what we covered so that it sticks better to your mind. And we will also have lab sessions, and the lab sessions are going to happen all the weekdays. So this is actually the 80% of the program, and this is on you guys because like practice is super important when it comes to competitive programming. Like you can cover the topics, you can get the idea of what the data structure is, what the algorithm is, but at the end of the day, in order to choose the right one, do the right modifications, and present it in a very clear way, you need to make a lot of practices. So that's why we are going to have that many lab sessions. So it may look a lot, but unfortunately, this is needed. Like at the end of the day, we want this program to succeed, right? Like, frankly, I really want everybody to get summer internship opportunities at the end of this program, you know? And in order to do that, we don't have much time, like 3.5 months. We need to study hard. So I will be helping you individually in these lab sessions. Like we will have sometimes contests, sometimes problem solving. So whenever you spend enough time on the problem and there is something that you feel like you're not able to pass through, at that point I'm going to be helping you. The reason we limited number of students with less than 30 is because I want to give you individual attention whenever you have trouble. But at the same time, we should act as a team. So we should also help each other. You know, like for example, we have second year students which are not very experienced. Can I see the hands of second year students? So you are the youngest ones. Like you are gonna seek more help from your more senior friends. So it's not just like, you know, me helping you, but at the same time you helping each other. So as a team, we are gonna raise up all together. And in the lab sections, we are going to be using different platforms. So these platforms are like CodeForces, Topcoder, LeetCode, CodeSignal. There are a few more. We will cover them and why we choose to use them. I'll explain later. And overall, we want to have 6 contests, which are going to be graded. And based on our results in the contest, we will choose who is going to be connected with the internship interviews. So it's important to perform well in those contests. And we will also have Q&A sessions. And in the Q&A sessions, we will have an interview with actively working people from Silicon Valley. And these people are from many different positions. So there are some engineers, some sales representatives, recruiters, business developers, product managers. A company consists of many different roles. It's not like you put together the best engineers, they are going to build the best product, and that product is going to sell itself. No businesses work like that. You need to have different components. You can think of like different legs of a table. And in order for a table to stand up, you need them to be equally strong, right? So that's why we are going to connect different roles and then see like what kind of problems they have, how they approach the business. So this will also give you an insight about what a business look like, rather than just focusing on getting better at engineering aspects. And in the long run, I think these Q&A sessions, like they will be super valuable because like these people are practicing everyday great work habits of the Silicon Valley. Like we see a lot of products changing the world coming out of there, right? So there is a reason why, and we are going to try to get this reason from these people. And we are going to decide which questions we are going to ask to them. So we will have a pre-request list. Like we will basically, you all can submit some candidate questions, and we are going to vote. And the questions we are going to pick, we are going to send them the list, so they will be prepared to answer these questions in the interview. And after that, we will also have on-the-fly questions, like the questions that we didn't pick at first place, but you just feel like asking at that point. So we will announce which people and what role they are working for at what companies before the sessions, so that like you can also mentally get prepared which questions you are going to ask. And the ones that are working at recruiter role or engineering role, they can also help you with interview preparation and tactics. Like they can tell you what kind of interview experience they had in the past, what kind of questions they are asked, how they get prepared, because these are the ones that test the interview, right? So if you practice what they practice, then it can give you a higher chance of success. And in January, like during your final period and break period, we can have an optional camp. So depending on how we perform, because by the end of January, we are going to be very close to interviews. Like the interviews are going to happen in the last part of February, in the last 2 weeks of February. And depending on where we are, whether we are very close to the bar or we already passed, we can have a camp. And it doesn't require all of us to be physically in the same location, but it requires like dedicating some time, like maybe working like 6 hours, 8 hours a day and doing a lot of practicing on problem solving. And from my personal experience, like camps are the places where the real magic happens. I mean, I don't know if there is real magic, but if there is, it's happening in the camps. So I strongly suggest, if we can make that happen, to be part of it. And in the camp, we will do problem solving and contests. So it's going to be very similar to what we do in the lab sessions, but in an extended way. So if you do the same thing for a long time, then the performance you get from your brain, it also changes. I guess like you all had experience with preparing for national university exam, right? So like you can think of, I guess you had some days where like you studied many hours, and eventually at the end you guys get the results. So it is similar. And if you have any questions, I would love to answer. No questions? Everything is crystal clear? Okay, then I have questions for you guys. So, okay, so homework this before. All right, so this weekend it would be great if you guys go ahead and create the profiles. So, are you guys all familiar with GitHub? Okay, so the reason I want a GitHub profile is that because at the end, once we apply for internship, in your CV, we can also add your GitHub profile, and they can check out what kind of experience you have. And during the course, we are going to cover many topics as well as we are going to solve a lot of problems. So when we make them visible to the recruiters, it's going to increase our chance of getting interviewed. That's why it would be great to keep track of our progress. And in the long run, also, if you want to ramp up another peer, let's say next year, a close friend of you wants to go through the same path, like you can basically refer them the GitHub profile. So let's create a GitHub profile if you don't have one, and if you have one, that's great. Secondly, we are going to be using Topcoder. So it's a platform that has been around for maybe 20 years, maybe more, and they regularly organize some contests, which are called SRMs. And they have a lot of algorithmic problems as well as tutorials. So it's going to be one of the sites that we are going to be using. And please create a Topcoder profile as well. And like you will all have access to these slides. This coding for Topcoder is happening through Arena. They have online version, web-based, as well as Java applet. So you can either download the Java applet or try the online version. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to connect from university's network, but I was able to do it through the internet at the hotel. So at home, you guys should be able to do that. And there is one plugin which we will talk about in the next session after we all have access to Topcoder. If you download that, that would be great as well. So another website we are going to use is Codeforces. So this site is Russian. I mean, it's not in Russian, but it's built by Russian people. And it has a lot of mathematical questions as well. And sometimes in the interviews, they ask mathematical questions too. So it's going to be one of the sources we are going to be using. It is very similar to Topcoder in the sense that they also organize a lot of online contests. But the way you interact with Codeforces is a little different than Topcoder. It doesn't have an arena. Basically, you upload your code, and your code has to be complete. Like, it should have main function. And like, they give you the spec for how to interact with the input and where to print the output. And you upload your code, and they test your code online. And LeetCode, this is especially designed for interview preparation. So Codeforces and Topcoder, it's more like for competitive programming. So it's not purely focused on interview preparation. However, LeetCode is specifically focused for interview preparation. So they have a lot of questions, and those questions are closer to what you are going to see in interviews than Codeforces and Topcoder, because Codeforces and Topcoder, they have more advanced questions than interview level requires. However, LeetCode, its questions are more similar to what you are going to be asked in the interviews. So level-wise, I would say LeetCode has easier questions than Codeforces and Topcoder. And CodeSignal, so this is kind of a relatively new startup. Basically, what they want to do is they want to make the hiring process completely data-driven. So instead of having like human-to-human interviews, like they basically want you to solve some tasks, some projects, and then based on your performance, they are going to prepare your package, and the companies are going to make hiring decisions based on what they see. So it's going to be purely data-driven. There will be no sort of bias whatsoever. That's their goal. And in their platform, they have a lot of questions as well as like tutorials. So we will be using CodeSignal too. So please create a profile there too. And so at the end, obviously, we want to track our performance, right? So in the progress log, you will see that we have information sheet. So please put all your profile names there so that we can keep track of our performance moving forward. Okay? And please, over the weekend, like read about the interview process. Like there are tons of materials. You can watch some YouTube videos and get excited because you need it. And as you remember from the email, I want to ask you 4 questions. Like it's obviously for these questions, there is no right or wrong answer. It's just to get to know each other, okay? Because like we can be most effective when we know each other well and when we trust each other well. Without that, the program is not going to be that effective. And I'm going to start. So what's your biggest achievement in life so far? I would say probably like getting the gold medal in the National Olympics and representing my country in the International Olympics. Unfortunately, I didn't get any medal for the International Olympics, but still, just being part of that organization was nice. And like this was Olympiads in informatics, so it was basically like programming competition for high school students. And the high school I attended, it was specifically focusing on basically teaching competitive programming and, or like let's say, preparing students for Olympic competitions. Like in total, a country has 23 slots to represent with the national teams in math, physics, biology, chemistry, and informatics. And from my classroom, we had 10 spots. So Turkey is 80 million country, like it's very close to Ethiopia. Like you can think of how specifically focused my high school was for Olympic studies. And why do you want to intern at Silicon Valley? I don't want to intern at Silicon Valley anymore, so I'm going to skip that question and leave it to you. And the third question is, where do you want to see yourself in 10 years? So actually, this is the last step before I start my own company with friends. And in 10 years, I want to see myself in a company that I started with my friends, which is working for a positive impact problem for the world for sure, and successful. So I want to be part of that company. What kind of achievement would make you feel accomplished once you are 60 and look back? That's a tough one and good one. I think your answer can change for this as you get older in life. And right now, I would say, like, I really want to put a lot of effort and do my best to decrease the opportunity inequality for any kind of breakdown. Meaning, like, unfortunately, we have biases for gender. You know, like in software engineering, for example, if you look at the numbers, we have less girls than boys. It's not because girls are less talented, it's just the way it is and some historic reasons. Nation. At the same time, some nations have a lot more wealth than some other nations, right? Is it because they are more hardworking, they are more talented? Yes and no, mostly no. What else? Your religion, you know? Like in some places, people are discriminated because of their religion. It's just a belief. It's not like people choose it. Actually, if you think about it, many of the religious thoughts, they come from your background, like where you were born, what was the religion of your family. These are like over 90% decisions on what your belief system is. And like nations, your continent, whatever. So any kind of breakdown on humanity, I'm against all this. So I want to put a lot of effort in decreasing this opportunity inequality. And that's one of the reasons why I'm here. So I know that you guys are very talented, very smart, and I would love to connect you guys with opportunities. So if you have more questions, you can always ask me. I'm an open book. It's about why it's a good idea to intern at Silicon Valley. So I would like to give an example. Like I had 3 more friends in high school with me in Olympic competitions for informatics. And at the end of college, like we, after high school, we all went to colleges in Turkey. And 2 of us decided to continue their career in Silicon Valley, and the other 2 stayed in Turkey. So the other guy who is in Silicon Valley right now, he's an engineering manager at Facebook, and like he's making probably mid 6-figure money, like meaning around like $500,000 per year. Like he has a very comfortable life. He has his house, has his family, like having kids, and enjoying his life. Working with very smart people, working on interesting problems that are affecting everybody in the world, not just a few people. And the other 2 that decided to stay in Turkey. So they worked in several jobs in Turkey, in different companies. What they are doing is affecting people only maybe, you know, around them, or definitely limited to Turkey. It's not at the world scale. And when we ask these questions to them, the answers we get right now is, I don't know, I just want to have a work, you know, in 10 years, because it's not for sure whether you can continue having a work or not. Like in 60 years, probably I want to be healthy, like be a grandfather, you know, like the dreams are not that big anymore. And the reason is, like, they surround themselves with people that are not as ambitious as the ones in Silicon Valley. So if we talk to my friend that is working at Facebook and ask him, hey, what do you want to achieve in 10 years? Where do you want to see yourself when you're 60? The answers are way more ambitious. So there is a point surrounding yourself with smart and ambitious people. I mean, you guys can already start feeling this, right? I mean, I don't know which high schools you come from, but you can even go back to middle school where there wasn't selection and see how you were behaving, what was competition at that time, versus when you surround yourself smart and ambitious people like this group and how you are progressing. So imagine adding one more layer on top of that and grouping with people together from all around the world, coming from different backgrounds, different nations, speaking different languages, but one thing in common, like they have ambition, they want to change the world. So that's why I strongly suggest getting an internship in Silicon Valley and seeing it with your eyes. A couple of you mentioned, I really want to see, right? I mean, we hear a lot of stuff about that. I really want to see. Yes, definitely you should go see with your eyes, because everything I say, this is from my perspective. And it is very biased on my personal experience. People I met with, companies I worked at, problems I try to solve. So in order to write your own story, you should experience it with yourself. So that's pretty much I want to say. Again, welcome to the club. And all I want for the next 4 months is work hard and do your best. Like, I know that you guys have the potential. You guys are smart. And if we work hard, I'm pretty sure we are going to achieve our goals, our highly ambitious goals. So I want to finish with one quote. Actually, 2 quotes. The first one is, seek first to understand, then to be understood. Like, basically, if we want to create a communication channel with somebody, no matter who that person is, first we need to seek understanding that person. Because we all are people and we want to be heard. Like, being understood by another human being is one of the best feelings in this life. So why not offer this to the other person first and listen them, and then try to explain yourself. So this way, it's way easier to build a communication channel. And it is from a book called 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I recommend this book wholeheartedly. Like, this is the best personal development book I have ever read. If you're not interested right now, that's completely fine. Maybe in the future, if you feel like, oh, I want to read a personal development book, keep that suggestion in your mind. And the other quote, so the first one is something that I think it's not true, which is practice makes perfect. I guess everybody heard this, right? It basically tries to highlight the importance of practice and putting the hard work to achieve something. But in my opinion, that's wrong. Because when I look at life, there are a lot of super hardworking people who do not achieve very good results. Do you guys know why? I think it's because their practice methods are not perfect. So the better version of this quote, which is correct in my opinion, is perfect practice makes perfect. So that's why we should keep constantly focusing on how we can improve our practice sessions, how we can do things better, and then bring them to the play, okay? So do not hesitate for bringing in any suggestion. Like, over the weekend, do a lot of reading, watch videos. How do people prepare for these interviews? How do they get results? Let's hear about different methods and improve our methodology as well, okay? So thank you very much. Have a great weekend, and yes.
Why Ethiopia? Like, how does a person from Silicon Valley choose to come to
Ethiopia? Perfect. Great question.
Ethiopia before you decided to come.
So let me tell you the whole story. So, like, it's been 7 years since I started working in Silicon Valley, and I worked in several companies like Palantir, Google, Liftoff. They are at different scale, but you guys all know Google. And like, for these 7 years, these are all for-profit companies. So all I did was taking, for-profit companies are working to make profit. So most of the money goes into the founders and investors' pocket, but they also pay you some money, right? You know, Silicon Valley companies give you high compensations. And for example, I was reading a lot of articles on Wikipedia, and all I did was just writing a couple edits, you know. So I consume 99% and give back maybe 1%, maybe even less. So this was the time for me to give back with what I collected so far. And I wanted to come to Africa because I think we should build the best schools in the poorest neighborhoods, because that's where we have smartest people that are super hungry for success. And after I chose to come to Africa, obviously I needed to find a country. And at the same time, I didn't want to die this young, so I was looking for a safe place. And when I look at the intersection, there weren't many alternatives. And there was one recruiter in my company, my last company. Her name was Jordanos. So she suggested, why don't you go to Addis Ababa? Like Ethiopia, it's a big country.